Hey guys, Christopher Beast here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Season 8 weapon frequency stats that have been gathered by VSL. Before I continue, I want to make two quick notes. One, allergies are hitting me pretty hard today, so I'm sorry if my voice isn't really where you guys are used to it being. I'm just wanted to make sure I got this out for y'all. Next, this video wouldn't have been possible without the large amount of work put in by Bad But Sweaty. He's a great YouTube Vigor content creator, and I'll have his link in the description. He's a good friend of mine, and I enjoy his content thoroughly, and I suggest you guys go check him out. He submitted a very large amount of the data that was used to get this video done so quickly, because most of you who are, long-time followers know it normally takes me to around the mid-season update or halfway through the season in order to have any solid stats on weapon frequency. So being able to get them done this quick is only because of the work of Bad But Sweaty. Now, I will also continue with this. These are the preliminary stats. Normally, VSL has 3 different gauges of how many rounds we want to play before we say, hey, this is what weapon frequency looks like for this season. We have the early bar. That's statistics you do not release at all because it's too small of a sample size. Then you have the preliminary stats, just like last season. This is a number of rounds where you can say, well, we think there's a conclusion based off the fact that patterns are forming, but we can't be solid until we see the final. And then there's the final, which is, when we hit the goal of the number of rounds played and recorded to submit and make a video on. Right now we're at the preliminary numbers, and this is when we make our numbers, our findings, public. So what exactly did VSL find this season? Let's get into this. So let's start this video off by talking about the top 3 guns in the game right now when it comes to frequency. Starting with first place, you have the SG-1. Yes, a purple rifle that is quite hard to loot out of safe at the moment, is the most commonly used gun in the game right now at 8.65% of frequency. That is absurd. And I don't really know how else to say the SG-1 is an issue. If you can hear that, you can watch the SG-1 video that Bobo just put out and still go, the SG-1's not an issue. I really would like to live in your world. Just being naive and thinking that there is no meta in this game. But personal sentiments aside, that's a very high percent. SG-1's looking at around 9% if you round it up. The next gun on the list is the M16. The M16 is currently at 7%, and underneath that is the AKM at 6%. The H-bar is 4th place at 5.82%. Yes, the other purple rifle that is a problem child is the 4th most used gun in the game right now. Yes, that's a problem. Let's transition from there, from talking about singular weapons to talking about the weapon categories. So the first things first is anyone that has watched a couple of my frequency videos knows the frequency for white weapons is almost always 50% of all guns. This is due to the fact that new players have to use white weapons, and white weapons like the AKM, M16, and to varying degrees SKS and Mosin are viable weapons all the way up until endgame. Because of this, though, it's kind of become a point of stability that 50% of weapons are common. So when the statistics came out for this season that common weapons have fallen down to 43%, color me surprised. This comes also with purple weapons going up to 23% of all guns, which is higher than both blue and green combined, as blue and green both have 10% each. I'm not really going to continue much on this besides the fact that green and blue guns need a rework of some kind, as I've been saying every single time I've done a frequency video. And hopefully one day it will come. Moving on from there to talking about how individual changes in percentiles on the lesser important guns. Well, the B93 lost 6% of all of its representation in the meta. The ADR lost 2%. The AKM lost 4%. These are all pretty good news. I'd say the ADR is maybe like neutral in theirs. It doesn't really matter. It went from 4 to 2. Not a huge deal. And I think it was at 4 because there was a kind of bit of a rumor flying around that the ADR got rebuffed. It didn't, so it's going back to what it should be. The ATM losing 4% is insane. That's just proof of those players just not really being in the common tier anymore, not really caring about it. People are spending less and less time because the loot is just better now in 8.0, and you don't have to use a common gun. As well as just, let's be real, when the frequency of the high tier guns increases, all it takes is one headshot. You shoot one of those, you grab a high tier gun, you're going to run the high tier gun using insurance, or you're just going to shoot everything else on the map until you can afford using things that aren't commons. So if the meta gets a bigger and bigger in part of the representation, then it's kind of natural that the common guns would lose more and more. And then on the opposite side of the coin, we have the obvious one. The B93, due to its nerfs, is now lost 6% of its total. And that's not a surprise. I don't think anyone really thought the B93 would keep its 9% of the meta it held last update. So, looking at the Parker Hale, because I heard a bunch of people curious about what the preliminary stats on the Parker Hale is. The Parker Hale occupies 4% of frequency right now, which isn't really surprising and isn't really a big deal at all. You can take whatever conclusions you want from the statistics, and if you want to access the statistics without all of my rambling about what's going on in them in the background, they will be posted on my Instagram, and if you have Discord, they are always going to be in the VSL regular information chat. I don't ever delete anything in there, so the data will be there for whenever you need it. So this has been Christopher Beast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will be back probably before the end of the month with a much higher number of rounds to make some final conclusions on 8.0 before mid-season hits. We don't know when mid-season's hitting, but I would assume it's going to be sometime this month or next month, so we'll want to get this data out soon. Till then, this has been Christopher Beast, and I'll see you all next time.